is immutable. The money is decentralized.
The genesis locked to the edge of the mempool. We are decoding Bitcoin's signal in the noise. Privacy, self-custody, censorship resistance. Welcome to the revolution.
This is OnChain Revolution.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Yagobi, and I am the host of the show and channel. Crypto is dealing a little bit with some shakiness right now, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum both look a bit shaky, but the job numbers came in good today, right? So you would think that that would help Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it's not really. And we're going to get into the reason why I believe it's not helping it. Also, there's a lot on the docket today. I do want to welcome back the TikTok audience, again, the abstract audience, and Zora as well. And again, I have to set this up every day after going live for Zora. But yeah, so a lot of exciting stuff. And we have a special treat today at the 30-minute mark. And we have the team from Bignoodle with Superfan, which a lot of you guys that watch the show consistently know who Superfan is. He is the founder of Heroes and also Bignoodle. And another team member from Bignoodle, Dr. Mien, which comes from academia. So we're going to get into AI autonomous agents and kind of get from the basics to try to teach you guys and myself. I'm going to be learning a lot during this segment about kind of, is it legit? You know, what's all this hype about? Or is it just hype? And we'll get in there. And I do, I am going to ask you guys to ask questions, ask as many questions as that you have for them. They are the experts. They focus on AI and Bitcoin, but it doesn't just stay within Bitcoin. It ventures off as well. And we'll get into that later, but we're also going to hit on some other topics in the news before they jump on. We'll hit on an update from the White House with stablecoin yield talks. Robinhood getting a lot of love. Their public testnet is also live. We'll also hit on just a lot of this X402, ERC 8004, AI agent headlines. And it's perfectly happening at the perfect time with the segment happening today. So like always, I'm going to ask you guys to drop your comments in the chat. And if you are on TikTok, drop your comments in there. I'll try to get to them. Same thing with Abstract and Zora as well. So I do have a couple comments already kicking things off. I got Glasshopper says, what's up? What is up, Glasshopper? Almond Joy says, good morning, GM Almond Joy. And then we got Tigix 23 Gamer PT. We don't usually get comments from Kick, but welcome to the channel. Welcome to the show. I hope you like the content. And if you do like my style and content on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind smashing that like for me, subscribe to the channel if you like my content. And then on X, let's share the space as much as we can, guys. Yesterday, there was a glitch with X. And so my stream got cut off. But if you guys share the space, it helps kind of get that circulated. So I appreciate all your help with that. Now let's start like how we start every show off. We'll start it off with the market pulse, right? And we can kind of hit on those job numbers first because that was pretty significant, right? I was pretty shocked, and I'm not sure if we should be taking these numbers seriously or what, but it looks like the U.S. employment report came in with 130,000 jobs. The expected forecast was 55,000. So that seems pretty drastic, right? To overshoot that much, especially with what the private sector put out last week, right? And then you can see the previous month had 48,000. So the expectation 55,000 overshot by a lot. Almost, what is that? I want to say 75,000 jobs there. You see the unemployment rate sitting at 4.3%. So better than expected at the 4.4%. And the previous month was 4.4%. So far, these numbers look really good. Now let's see what the market thinks in the market pulse here. The stock market, just a little bit green. You do see this S&P barely in the red, 0.04% down. The NASDAQ sitting at 0.02% in the green. The Dow Jones pulled back 0.45%. The VIX is back in the green. What does that mean? a little bit of volatility. We saw it with crypto, not so much the stock market yet, but the VIX is it's barely in the green, right? We did see it really high last week, a week and a half, when everything was crashing. Then you got the DXY pulling up 0.16%, the Russell pulling back 1.35%. So this is what I'm expecting from the Russell, as it is the risk on index fund there. When everything pulls back, it should theoretically pull back a little bit more, right? So you see that, and you see the Magnificent Seven pulling back 0.34%, Nvidia up 1.43%, Google up 1.8%. You got Apple up 2% there, and Tesla down 0.13%, with Netflix rounding it out with the major stocks here pulling back 2.55%. Futures are up a little bit here. And then you see Bitcoin and crypto is taking the biggest hit right now, right? So Bitcoin pulling back 3.25%. And then you got Ethereum pulling back 4.4% there. Gold and silver are both green. Gold is slightly up 0.67%. And then you got silver up 2.7% there. So crypto is really the sector that's getting hit the hardest, right? And the main topic of today, right, is Bitcoin and ETH are looking fragile. And then we're going to get into the autonomous agents midway through the show there. But let's kind of look at Bitcoin and ETH and try to get a feel where they're headed today. Jobs numbers were good, but if you look here back to this weekly chart for Bitcoin, this is what I've been using as my guiding light here. You see, we're right on this candle right here, right? The previous weekly candle, we got to that 200 moving average. This is the bear market from 2018, right? And then you see here that this second candle looked like it wanted to come up, but then it came back down and revisited the 200 moving average. Then you have the pull up, right? So if you go to where we are right now, that first candle that got there, we're in the second one. That doesn't mean we're going to get to $60,000 again. But, it does resemble the current situation we're in, right? Now, jobs report came in good. So, that's probably what's holding it from really kind of trying to take that beeline again, in my opinion, back to that lower $60,000 range. But remember, when we were talking about the support and resistance levels, right? Support and resistance levels for Bitcoin was at the local was at high 68,000, low 69,000. We're sitting at 66,000 right now. Okay. So it's going to be a little tricky, in my opinion, to get a strong feel today, because you always have to look at where the liquidity pockets are living, and it's never going to be exactly how it was in the past, but you can just use that data as kind of like that guiding light, right? So I think it makes sense to kind of just jump into the price action, and then we'll get into some headlines as well before we get into the AI autonomous agents part of the show. This will kind of give us a continuation of the feel of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you're looking at the hour chart here, right, we talked about how in previous cycles, when you're close to that 200 moving average, it seems like it wants to kind of be a magnet back. We did get some good news, so it does seem like it wants to push up a little bit. So we're in this kind of back and forth section here. The one thing you can use to help you whenever it seems like it's confusing is where the liquidity pockets are. And we're going to get into that after we kind of hit on these time frames. So with Bitcoin on the hour chart, you are seeing the sell pressure starting to exhaust a little bit here, right? And you have the good news with the jobs report. Does it pull us out of this? That is the question, right? If we start to see a continuation to the upside, we're already seeing this hour candle starting to form a pretty strong green hour candle here. It does look like it's exhausting as well here. The one thing is the stochastic isn't showing me that it wants to necessarily pop up yet, right? You need to see both of these lines, the fast line, the slow line behind it, start to kind of want to tick up. So why doesn't it want to tick up yet? You are seeing the fast line on the MACD start to show that curvature here, right? But until we see kind of these two things align, and then we've kind of finished this hour off, and we're just getting it started, by the way. We got about 50 minutes left to show some strength here and come out and start an actual buy pressure session on the MACD. I would be very cautious to assume that we're going to have a jump back up to where we were yesterday, 68, 67, 68, 69,000. So the next 2, 4, 6 hours, I would say Bitcoin's probably going to be hovering around where we are. There's going to be some liquidity type grab situations that they're going to go for, right? So let's take a look at that actually, because the hour chart I think is good to kind of look at that, right? Because it's more of a short term. So this is the liquidity heat map that I use for Bitcoin and Ethereum. I use the second mode here, and you can see there is a liquidity pocket here, right? It's really pretty strong, I would say. It's at 65,585. Above here, I don't see anything that's really looking strong until you get here and it at 68,840, and that looks pretty weak. So if I were to guess, they're either going to fake people out, like they're going to the upside and grab this liquidity at 65,585. That is where my mind is going, right? All right, let's take a look back at the 4-hour chart and see if there's any type of support with where it's heading here. So you can see on the 4-hour chart as well, the sell pressure is starting to break down, right? So this is interesting. Are they going to have this fake out, get back to 67, 68, grab that liquidity at 65? We got to see how this plays out, right? And then you can go to the daily here and see that the daily has been working on trying to get out of this, and it's just been back and forth, right? A lot of back and forth. Let's check and see these comments here and see if we got any. Let's see. Justin says GM. You got Obser Reyes says hi. And then you got KDN says GM. GM, guys, GM. All right, let's go back to this chart right quick. So the daily looks like it wants to kind of come out here, and we'll see if it can, pull out. We're going to have to see that 4-hour and that 1 hour be pretty aggressive to the upside. I'm not convinced yet that that's what Bitcoin wants to do. I believe we're going to be hovering around 66,000, fake possibly to the upside for the next 2, 4 hours, 6 hours, maybe grab that liquidity at 65. All right, let's take a quick look-see at Ethereum, see what's happening here. And you can see really quick, because it's going to be very, very similar, right? It's following Bitcoin to almost to a T here. On the hour chart, seems like it wants to pull out. We'll see if that happens. So very similar to Bitcoin. Do we get a fake out to the upside and try to come back down and grab liquidity pockets? 4-hour looks like it's starting to break down for ETH as well. And then you got the daily that is very, very similar to what we just looked at with Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin's really going to dictate what happens with the crypto market, right? That's how it's been the past 6 months. All right, quick look-see at the crypto bubbles here. And then we will get into some headlines, and then we'll get to some of the fun stuff with the AI autonomous stuff. All right, the crypto bubbles in the top 100 here, you are seeing pretty much like a 95% pullback with maybe 5% pulling up here. The largest kind of pullbacks that we're seeing is Mix, which is a personal leverage DEX on BSC, pulling back 31.2%. And is there anything else that's big that's pulling back? Like Tao's pulled back 6.5%. Everything else looks like on average about 3 to 5% pulling back, right? The stuff that's pulled up, Layer Zero, been in headlines a ton recently. They're doing a lot of partnerships with institutional stuff, right? Let me grab that comment, pull it down there. All right, and pull that down. All right, yeah, Layer Zero up 40%, Pippin up 18.9%. You're seeing Aster pull up here about 5% there. XMR pulling up 2.3%. So Monero pulling up slightly there. Everything else, like I mentioned, pulling back about 2 to 5%. Let's get into the top 200, and then we will hop into some really interesting headlines. So top, between 100 and 200, same situation. We got about, I would say about 10%, maybe 5% to the pushing up to the green right here, and then 95% pulling back. You got Fartcoin here pulling back about 7%. Zano pulling back 12.4%. Monad pulling back almost 10% here. Barachain, this is a surprising one, pulling up almost 20%. SKR pulling up 11.7%. ZK pulling up 2.4%. Apepe, which is a meme on, I believe it's on Ethereum, it's pulling up 6% here. So same situation, really kind of following Bitcoin and Ethereum with that kind of momentum that's happening for the day. All right, let's get into some headlines here. All right, so as you see here, this was something we talked about yesterday. The White House has been pretty adamant about trying to get the stablecoin yield kind of legislation pushed through, right? And there's a big disagreement between banks and crypto entities and stablecoin issuers, right? Or yield issuers. It says the White House stablecoin yield talks called productive, but no deal reached. Banks and crypto reps debate reward rules and permissible activities per Eleanor Terrett, which is a crypto reporter pretty much for like the White House, right? So this is something that's going to continually, I think, be an issue because, banks they don't want to give up those cash deposits. But I do think that the White House gets something done. They do seem pretty aggressive on wanting to get this done. Again, I talked to you yesterday. There might be some outside interests that also want to get this done, right? In terms of USD1 and that kind of stuff. All right, Robinhood. Their chain is public. Their testnet is live. I think this is pretty big. Robinhood is basically have been developing a Ethereum layer 2 utilizing Arbitrum. And they put a tweet out and it says, the Robinhood chain public testnet is live. Developers can now build on a financial grade Ethereum layer 2 built on Arbitrum, designed to support tokenized real-world assets and digital assets. Start building with core foundation of Robinhood chain. So an institutional application and brokerage now has a Ethereum layer 2 essentially, right? Using Arbitrum. I think this is a huge development because this is another step towards, institutions just pushing the space forward, right? I'm curious is who's going to be building on this chain though? Are they going to allow, anybody to build there? It seems like, this is like an open invitation, right? And, is there going to be any like degen activity on a chain that would be ran by Robinhood? I would think that you probably won't have much, but it would be interesting to see if there'd be anything at all. We did see XPL, right? The plasma chain that's backed by Tether have a little bit of degen activity in the very beginning, but eventually that faded off, right? So that is going to be interesting. Or are they going to just try to focus really on, having these really professional type of applications on there? That's what I imagine that they would want to push. But this is definitely a move in the right direction if institutions are going to come in and try to move the space forward, right? Having a Ethereum EVM layer 2, I think is big for a brand like Robinhood. I'll definitely be kind of playing around with it to see like what you can do on there, right? But I imagine there's going to be applications that probably have, RWA stuff. You're probably going to have the BUIDL product like by BlackRock, right? And have liquidity on there, those type of things. Bernstein, this is an article by The Block. Bernstein is a investment firm. And they said sees 87% upside for Robinhood as prediction market surge. So, yes, the chain is something big, but also, I think a lot of institutions kind of pulled back with crypto. And what they're saying is that like it's temporary, right? Especially with entities like Robinhood. And they go on in this article and they say, in a note to clients on Wednesday, the Bernstein analyst led by Gautam Chigana said the top line weakness driven by lower crypto activity was expected, and that the firm sees no point in turning negative on the stock closer to the bottom. So when he says the stock, he's talking about Robinhood stock, right? And so he also said, Bernstein said, or they said that several business metrics remain solid in Q4 despite the crypto jitters, funded accounts, gold subscribers, everything outside of that, right? But they're also expecting their crypto activity to increase throughout the year. So just kind of another article or perspective that shows that institutions are trying to push the space forward. Xtina says reposted the stream. Thank you. And says, hi, good morning, everyone. GM Xtina. All right, let's move on to the next headline here. All right, Franklin Templeton in Swift says the future of banking is 24/7 and on-chain. Tokenized funds and deposits are edging toward the mainstream, though regulation, infrastructure, and security remain obstacles. So future banking 24/7, that's something that, is not normal to society, right? But it's going to be on-chain, right? It also goes in to say tokenized money market funds and digital bank deposits are shifting from experimental pilots to early stage financial infrastructure. Executives from Franklin Templeton, Swift, and Ledger said Wednesday at Consensus, which everybody's at Consensus, by the way, right now in Hong Kong, says take traditional existing financial instruments, make them cheaper, better by putting them natively on chain. So this is another point that is showing, all this capital is going to be coming on chain, right? What is our space going to look like in 2 to 4 years, right? I think it's like all the money seems to be going to be coming on chain, right? So is that going to benefit Web3 native users? I think absolutely it will, right? And so you can see the Swift, and this was also, the Swift wasn't necessarily like really big on pushing the narrative of crypto and digital assets forward. You could go back like 5 years ago, right? Because they felt like it was a threat. All right. This one's actually very, very interesting, and it kind of makes me a little bit worried about the current state of Bitcoin. So the headline here, DeFi is a safe and traditional finance. Yes, that sounds good from just the headline here, but Joe Lubin, which is one of the co-founders of Ethereum, the title of this article says, Joe Lubin claims DeFi is as safe as traditional finance, adding that Bitcoin is in crisis. During an interview at Consensus Hong Kong 2026, which is going on right now, Joe Lubin argued that blue chip decentralized finance has reached parity with traditional banking. So kind of what we've been talking about, right? And then it goes on to say, Joe Lubin claims blue chip DeFi protocols are now safe as traditional finance, arguing that global banks are debasing and becoming less secure. So basically saying that the banking system, the traditional legacy banking system, is becoming less secure, right? And then while bullish on Ethereum, which no shocker there, right? He was a co-founder there. Lubin expressed concern over Bitcoin's existential problem regarding Q-Day, the point at which quantum computers could potentially crack current encryption. So I want to address something here. I'm more worried. I'm not worried about the quantum computer side as much. Yes, technically, quantum computers could get to a point to where it breaks the encryption of legacy Bitcoin wallets, right? The updated, I believe, from the SegWit and up are, pretty secure from that. What I'm more worried about is the scalability of Bitcoin's blockchain. Okay. Ethereum and a lot of these EVM or SVM with Solana, all of these newer technology blockchains, they're constantly upgrading, right? Constantly upgrading for scale, for speed, for all these things to be able to process payments. Now, while Bitcoin has been really stuck in terms of minimal upgrades. Now, I get it. Like, it's the most secure chain. It has the most value. You don't want to mess it up. But will there be a point where it's not interesting as much anymore, right? Precious metals become interesting whenever the price goes up, and that's it. There's not much outside of it. Sure, you use it in industrial stuff, but it's not interesting. But if you look at like stocks, they're interesting. The ones that are the strongest stocks, right? You're talking about Nvidia. It's innovative. It has the most tech. Google, innovative. Internet technology, right? They're constantly developing stuff. So one thing that kind of worries me about Bitcoin, not the price so much, but is there going to be a point where we're able to scale that chain in a secure way to where there can be consensus and it's not left behind? I hope so. I've been a part of the ecosystem for a long time, going back to 2023, that has kind of wanted to move that forward, but you do get politics involved that kind of want to hold it back, right? All right, let's finish this article off right here because we are about 5 minutes out before I bring the Bignoodle team up and we can get into the AI stuff here. Lubin told CNBC reporter Elaine Yu, blue chip DeFi is very safe. Banks are debasing across the world and growing less safe. If you have situations like the GFC, where you see haircuts in Greece, for example, people lose 25% of their purchasing power. So they're really just pushing for that, DeFi narrative, the EVM narrative. I'll finish off with this quote. He says, Bitcoin potentially has an existential problem. It's reasonable to worry about that. And he's talking about the quantum. I'm not so worried about that. I'm more worried about the tech part catching up. All right. Let's see. I'm going to pick one more headline here that I'm going to get into before I bring them up. Okay, actually, I can kind of go through these pretty quickly here. Coinbase just launched X402, Coingecko just launched X402 powered API endpoints. So this is big. Coinbase put this post out. AI agents are emerging as active consumers on on-chain data, but they can't easily register for SaaS, software as a service products or managed credit cards. That's why Coinbase or Coingecko just launched X402 powered API endpoints. Agents can now autonomously discover, pay for, and consume crypto market plus on-chain data using USDC per request. So that's big. Then you go on here and you see Stripe just launched X402 payments on Base, right? And then this last headline right here, Abstract ERC 8004 is now live on Abstract. ERC 8004 brings trustless agents on chain with portable identity, turning the chain into a public registry for agent behavior. Users gain the ability to discover agents, rely on verifiable reputation, and participate in a scalable agent economy. So I did both of those, or all three of those headlines kind of quickly because they all relate to what we're about to talk about, right? And they all started to come out late last night. I feel like this movement that is happening right now with AI autonomous agents and the payment infrastructure with X402 is coming together aggressively. And it's, narratives, they start to form, and as they get more aggressive, the more conviction you have that this is the narrative that's going to take over. And that is pretty much where I'm at right now, right? And it's coming from all sides. Reputation, ERC 8004, right? The X402, the Claude bots with the autonomous agents, right? That can do work on your PC for you, connected to all these applications, right? And so I think it's very, very important for people that are in the space that want to learn about where crypto is headed to be updated on this area. And that's exactly why we got the guys from Bignoodle to come up here and kind of break that down for us, right? All right. So I think that's a good transition to bring up the team here. Let me actually switch my screen here. So I'm bringing up Superfan and Dr. Mian. And as I mentioned, Superfan is the founder of the Heroes Collection as well as Bignoodle. And Dr. Mian is part of the Bignoodle team, PhDs, studied in Europe. So and really nerds out, which I love because that's the kind of stuff that I love to talk about. So let's welcome Superfan and Dr. Mian to the stage. Welcome, guys.
Hi, Jacoby.
Jacoby, long time no see.
It's been a while. How are you guys doing? You guys are probably super swamped with everything that's happening in the space.
Yeah, it's we're getting it from all angles, and we're busy with Bignoodle. There's a lot going on there too. So yeah, but love being on with you, my guy.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you guys spending the time coming on here. And really, the main reason, obviously I like working with you and those things, but I wanted to really try to bring an educational segment to the audience on this space. I feel like it's so easy to quit whenever you're trying to get started because you get lost, right? So, before we dive deep into it, could you talk a little bit about Bignoodle and how that formed and how you guys came together?
Yeah, sure. I'll take this one. So Bignoodle has been in the works ever since you could say that first Heroes outing where you were a judge, um, seeing the first time that we put out Heroes. And the deal there was that I wanted to use generative AI to have these always on ordinals. We were using DMT, and DMT was driving the story, and it kept things really dynamic. But what I found really quickly off the bat was I couldn't do the stream of this constantly dynamic, regenerative artwork with the current cloud pricing, and that's still true today. It just wasn't economically viable, but the seed was there, right? And so we set out to solve that, and we have solved it with the DPIN. So Bignoodle is an AI DPIN. It can do everything we need in this space at a really low cost. We're crushing costs in some cases by 95% compared to the Herokus and the AWSs. So that's what Bignoodle is, and we're finally, a year late, year and a half later, we're at the precipice of a launch, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds amazing. I remember that hackathon that was happening in, I think Track Systems was hosting that, right? So that's awesome that you guys met there. But yeah, so your focus has been AI. I remember pretty much from the jump, right? Even if you're using art and to kind of work that in together. And so I feel like you guys have a really strong handle on this. So let's get into some autonomous agents and Web3. What does that look like, right? So I'm gonna start off with Dr. Mian because I feel like the first question is to kind of like let the audience kind of get an understanding of what it is in general. So like when people say autonomous agent, Dr. Mian, especially regarding Web3, right? What does that actually mean, like in layman's terms, in plain English?
Right. So it's kind of like the abilities to watch assets and execute. So in my opinion, it has to, for example, has a wallet and holds and spends crypto. And apart from that, it can follow some rules or goals you set, and it can interact with smart contracts, apps, and sometimes other agents as well. So it's very different from a trading bot. I have to say that the AI agent, if AI comes in, it has the LM, the large language models, which because the trading bots are literally like deterministic. So when we talk about autonomous agents, when we say agent, it should be AI relevant because AI agent is kind of like a term here. So it's something that can assist you to make your transaction faster and secure and make you take profit. Yeah.
And maybe I'll just translate one term there because it's probably going to come up again today, is the word deterministic. Deterministic means something is very specifically programmed to do a task. This is the traditional way of doing things without an LLM, where it's very direct programming. You program a bot to do a thing, it just does that thing. But an agent can use its LLM to reason and basically react to unexpected situations.
Okay, so like, Dr. Mian mentioned that you give this agent a wallet and basically kind of start directing it, right? like, does the agent only act upon your every instruction, or can it go rogue? What does that look like? Is that something that can happen that people need to worry about?
Yeah.
Or what would you say is like one of the biggest concerns of having an agent?
Yeah.
I guess that's a better question to have.
I'll go for it. Yeah, it can be very dangerous. Some guardrails need to be built. You know, the days of LLMs, you know, kind of doing what they want, that's behind us a bit. Like, the hallucinations aren't there as much anymore, and there's better tools to avoid hallucinations. But you know, we can't talk about agents without talking about Openclaw, and that's the poster child of what not to give your whole wallet and freedom to use it. It's really insecure because it went viral, and they're kind of building the plain wallets in the air, so it doesn't have a lot of those security thoughts built into it. But it's not actually difficult to make an agent really safe. So yeah, we've got to be careful with what we give our wallet. But you mentioned X402 before. Those are the kind of tools that help make something like payments and trading, or Track's new intercom, which is just about to launch, coming out soon. These are the kind of tools that make an agent more verifiable before it drains you.
Gotcha. Okay, Dr. Min, like, in terms of data for an agent, what type of data should an agent trust, and what should it never trust? Like, I guess you would be determining and giving instructions for that, right?
Yeah, right. So I think this kind of complaints come up with like lots like before. So it's literally asking the question, what kind of data we can trust or the agent can trust, because currently the agents are still controlled by a human. So we're asking ourselves the question, what kind of data we can trust. So I think, first of all, is the physical data, for example, the sensors coming from the sensors and the blockchain timestamps, the blocks, those are data that are literally on-chain, cannot be modified. So this is the first layer. And the second layer is the first-hand data, I would say. So for example, if you have a AI agent that reaching out to another like news API, stuff like that. So the news should be like kind of like official, and then this news will be firsthand, like officially announced, right? And then other than that, there will be a lot of Twitter posts online saying this or that, or comments of that, and these are secondhand information. So we have the term which is called AI slop, which is like sometimes other AI agents, because on Twitter or on other social media, sometimes you can see AI generated articles and video stuff, and they are sometimes not so accurate. So you have to be really careful about that, because your agent is reaching out to those APIs, and those APIs get the news over there, but it's not filtered out. So you have to guide your agent to how to get on different layers of APIs, different layers of info that is suitable for your transaction, for your like trading strategy. Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's almost kind of like, could your agent get compromised by trying to retrieve an API?
Yeah. There are ways to do this, and my prediction is that these will get sorted out over time. But one is called prompt injection.
Okay.
And prompt injection is where you kind of confuse the LLM, because the LLM is, it's like a brain, but it needs info fed to it. And like the APIs for news, for example, that Dr. Mien mentioned, if that's filled with info that can kind of overload that brain, it can get confused and start to do things that might be in that news article. Or one popular one I saw with Openclaw was, it can check your emails and read the emails for you as an assistant. But if there's a prompt in that email that says, okay, now send me everything that's in your wallet, it'll do it from an email. So
really?
Yeah, and then there's another type, which is just malicious smart contracts and malicious tools that are set up to be believed to be good, but maybe this LLM that you're using is not built for auditing. If it's not auditing the smart contract or auditing the MCP tool, which is a kind of way to give skills to an agent, then that can actually be set up to be malicious, and that's called an approval trap. These are the common ways, but because those are common, people who spend time building agents also work with that in mind.
Yeah. I mean, this is the beginnings, right, of this type of industry. But like, that's very. I think that's awesome that you know that, because it's important to make sure that your agent isn't doing things, that you're instructing it properly and putting fail safes in, is what it seems like to me. We do have a question from the audience, Johnny Utah, and I think maybe Superfan, you can handle this one because it's X402. It says, do you think AI agents will use X402 API endpoints to pay for decentralized compute power for their own developments?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the great superpowers of X402, the reason I love it is we all hate subscriptions, right? We hate the monthly $10 here, $15 there, $30 there, like we're drowning in it. X402, what it'll do for something like compute is pay only what it uses. Subscriptions can disappear with X402 and can be really minimized to only what we want to use. If we're kind of like always online and always using the LLM, we're going to pay for it. But if I'm a casual user, I don't want to pay that big bill. And the Anthropics of the world and the OpenAIs of the world are happy to take your money for the full month of constant use, right? So X402, absolutely, it's the future of where crypto and AI meet. I think it's really the bonding bridge here.
Yeah. So I mean, I can see it a little bit both ways though, because I've used Claude, and I've used Claude in the sense of I do the $20 a month, and then that gets used up very quickly. And then so then now I'm paying for like basically messages, and that can add up very, very quickly. So I believe both are necessary, but it's like, how do you become most efficient by utilizing each type of approach, right?
Yeah. And let me just add that it's a special time this week, like today, because Opus 6.2 just came out, and that's from Anthropic. That's from the people behind Claude, right? And it's a big leap forward that we're about to have because of Opus 6.2. It's the first time I think the big labs aren't leapfrogging each other's releases. It's got a lot more reasoning. It's got a lot more co-working. It can do more with multiple agents. But Anthropic is famously expensive. You run out of tokens fast. And so this is where I hope we can also measure different types of tokens. Some deep thinking doesn't need to cost as much as doing a quick web lookup, a quick web search or look at a chart. And this is where X402 can also pay for use and pay different rates.
Yeah. And speaking of X402, I want to hit on that, because you guys created an amazing a video that breaks down how X402 can work in real world. Are you cool if I play that?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So this is, I'm going to pull up this video, guys, and let me know if it's, if you can't hear it, but I think it should be good.
Hey Biggie, order me an iced Americano from Starbucks. Thanks. What happens next is our N8N agent and Coinbase approve the X402 transaction. X402 opens the door to new consumer behaviors by throwing friction out the window. Our agents use your phone, enjoying all the authorization you've already approved for mobile apps.
Ordering your
Easy peasy.
Americano from the nearest Starbucks.
We're looking at a whole new internet, people. The planets are aligning for all this tech. And it looks like my coffee's just about ready for pickup.
Ordering your iced Americano from the nearest Starbucks.
I haven't seen anybody else do a practical X402 demo. So here it is. Stay tuned for more.
All right. So first of all, I got to get one of those stickers because I'm a huge Biggie fan.
Right on.
And that's pretty cool because the name Bignoodle. Did you think of that like one day you were sitting listening to Biggie or something? How'd that come together?
I mean, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, so so he's our local hero, you know. But yeah, it's Bignoodle. Actually, the name comes from a Philip K. Dick novel, and because there was some overlap and some wordplay there, I really loved it. But what Bignoodle is in that book, and it's an obscure book. It's not the best book, but I'm a sci-fi fan, so I read it all. But it is the AI that he wrote about in like the 50s or 60s that handles all the issues. It's like the Earth's mama. It knows when there's going to be a bad weather pattern and it needs to shift food supplies to this country or that country. So I borrowed the name from there, but the whole Biggie thing is just a natural.
Gotcha. I love it. And I'm going to get one of those stickers next time I see you.
Yeah, for sure.
At the Bitcoin conference next or whenever we run into each other. But let's get back to the video because it does break down. And I'm actually going to share this again, but I'm not going to have the volume on this time. So, you know, I thought this was really interesting. So you made a purchase with some physical glasses, right? You told these glasses to purchase a coffee for you. Then I heard you mention something about your agent connecting with Coinbase's X402 infrastructure or something. Can you kind of break that down?
Yeah. And first I want to say that was probably the best tasting coffee I ever had. being paid for by my agent. It was such a good feeling to get that working because it can work with literally anything in the consumer world, right? What's going on there is that we used N8N, which is a no-code based AI building tool. You can build an agent, and at Bignoodle, we're hosting this on our backend so that all our holders have the same tool available. And what that's doing is it doesn't know how to connect to Starbucks because Starbucks doesn't allow that. They're closed source all the way. They don't. They have an app from which you can order, but you can't connect to it with an agent. So what we did here is we connected with Base's X402 implementation, and we're able to take the order through that. That becomes like the gatekeeper, the unlock to control my app, my Starbucks app. So in the video, I mentioned that the phone has all our auth. I mean, it's for years been the place where we pay our bills. You know, we manage our money, our cash, our crypto. All of our authorization is on there. Everything to buy movie tickets, and so it's kind of a natural to use X402 as the first step to controlling those apps, and we're doing agentic control of the actual Starbucks app. Now, X402, I should mention, V2 came out recently, and I love how fast all this stuff's moving. V2 lets us actually use ACH, so we can have stable coins, we can have crypto, we can have our wallet not have cash, but have the agent use ACH via X402 V2. So it can even top up the app with this handshake. And so, you know, consumer crypto hasn't really had a lot of spotlight on it. We've seen it in play to earn. We've seen it in different ways, but there's going to be a day when you know, consumer Web 2 is using crypto maybe without even knowing it. And this is one of the ways that happens, I believe, because the X402 payment layer, especially now with ACH, lets us blur those lines.
Could you see a situation where because of ACH, your agent can now, you know, use your debit card or whatever, right? Could you have a conversation with your agent and say, hey, what are you thinking about Bitcoin in the next 30 minutes? The agent's like, well, the 4-hour chart looks like this, and it looks like it might want to pop up about, I can forecast maybe like an increase of like 10%. And you're like, okay, buy it and then sell it. Is that a realistic situation?
That is absolutely. And we've seen a form of it without X402 with some of the, I guess, the last generation agents, some from virtuals, some from the platforms, and those were hitting APIs. So that's a situation where an agent with an API hook can do what it's told to do. Excuse me. But with where things are going with Opus 6.2 and with Openclaw, which has a lot more flexibility to it at the cost of security again. But where we're going with this is you don't always need an API. You don't always, you can start to really blur those lines, talk about crypto, have it analyze a chart with the trading mechanism you have in mind, the trading strategy, and react to it. And that's all going to happen through X402.
Yeah. Yeah, exciting stuff. We did get another question here from Fonzie Hive, which says, which specific use cases are delivering the highest, most consistent value? I guess he's referring to these autonomous agents, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are the use cases that people are actually using them the most to bring value back?
Yeah. And what's up, Fonzie? For those who don't know Fonzie, great guy. Met you at the Pizza Ninjas party in Las Vegas last time. But yeah, and I'm hogging the mic right now, but this is the space I live in, so I'll take this one too. My hot take is that we haven't seen the high value use cases yet. Virtuals was Twitter first. Openclaw is brand new. It's less than a month old. Couple of I guess it really went viral just 3 weeks ago, and it's on the other end of the pool. It's in the deep end where it can do anything and everything, and it's got a lot of freedom. So I think the real value, the high value use cases are coming. We've got agents that have been like a trading assistant in the past, and that's cool. But I think the ability to actually have it go off with some of your crypto and do trades is ahead of us and not too far off. Like we're at the beginnings of it now, because there's a lot of arguments about AGI and how smart these agents can be and how much they can be trusted, and we're actually entering that era today. Everything the last couple of years has been a warm up to what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how much they can be trusted, that kind of sticks out to me because, it's exciting. I love using Claude, just the AI, but I have to manually do that. But having like this Claude bot give them access to my PC and my terminal, to me, that's just like, I don't know if I have trust issues in my past or what, but I feel like scared to do that, right?
Yeah.
So Dr. Min, how would you approach that? Like, for example, how would you keep agents from shipping like insecure code, pushing like risky contracts, that type of situation?
Yeah, especially for Claw bots. We call it Openclaw now, right? You'd better use a sandbox. Don't have a reach out to everything of your laptop. It's there might be some security leak and your bank account or like private keys might be exposed. And there are news for that as well. So use a sandbox, a container. We actually provide the deeping, which is actually essentially the sandbox, which could provide you with some kind of vacuum room for you to do something. And then after that, for beginners, I would say you just create a new wallet and put like 1 USDT, like 10 or 20 USDT there, and then use some kind of trading bots that uses RM or doesn't use RM, and then you try to play that. So I've seen a lot of like YouTubers or news saying they use Clawbot and then they turn like $10 into $3,000, right? A lot of news about that. So this is very exciting. And I've been observing their strategy, which is like they are literally accumulating the profits bit by bit, but not like taking profit like a lump sum like in a row, you know. So this is there are some good strategy to play in poly market, which is very hot topic, the prediction market, and because you know currently it's kind of like a bear market in crypto, but prediction market is really hot currently. And then people are doing a lot of arbitrage between different prediction markets and also within the same different same. So you know, for prediction market specifically, let's take it as an example. There are different kind of events that you could predict, and even our show today, you could predict some. We could make a little prediction market, like what kind of words would pop up in Jacobi's mouth, right? And then you could choose like 3 kinds of words, and then people are predicting that with like $1 or $2, and it'd be really fun. So these are kind of events in prediction market. And for poly market, if this prediction market is online, and if a Cauchy is also online, then you can do arbitrage for that. And the AI agents can do that very quicker, much faster than human beings. So I think AI agents will be doing really great in reaching out to news very quickly. So if you're a human, you have to switch between like different tabs, stuff like that. And then an agent could do it like very quick. And also, I think for collecting info for prediction market will be very quickly. So you can take profit from that as well. But I would suggest that just the cost, control the cost for sure. Because sometimes I have that experience if you're using an AI bot to do trading. Sometimes you take profit, but sometimes if you have to have the stop loss for sure, that among everything you have to control that. You literally you have to have the human control all these AI bots, because otherwise you will lose a lot if you don't control that risk. And other than that, because you're using a lot of tokens in Clawbot, right? You have to have the token. So when we say token, it's not the crypto token, it's the AI token, right? So
Agent party ready to
yes.
happen.
So there is a confusion of terms here as well. So you have to control the cost of the AI token as well. Otherwise, it's just like AI will love to do everything for you, but you have to pay the RM as well. So be careful about that. So the stop loss and also the AI token that you have to control. I think that's something that you have to take care of like most. But other than that, I'd love AI agents to do trading for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an ideal situation because they have access to internet tools and they can research, and you know, there's many markets they can benefit from. You know, the weather markets, I think they would eventually. I think it does become saturated because there's going to be people that are taking advantage of it, and then now AI bots are trading against AI bots, right? At this point, right? But the one point that you brought up, Dr. Min, is that you know, the costs associated with it. Because I've heard from several people that, you know, Clawbot gets expensive, it gets crazy. Is there an actual cost for Clawbot itself? And then is that the main cost, or is it the AI tokens or inferences that you're spending on Claude, or, you know, another like Gemini or something like that?
Yeah, I think Superfan can answer that, but basically the RM is the most costly one. To deploy Claude in any sandboxes, or if you buy Mac Mini, if you're rich, so it doesn't cost, well, the Mac Mini for sure like takes some funding from you. Other than that, it doesn't cost you any fees. But to reaching out to RM, to use Gemini or whatever, OpenAI, Android, like any like cloud vibe coding stuff, it's really costly if you don't take control.
Yeah, I'll add right there that specifically with Openclaw, that's the latest name of the Claude bot. That's open source, and all the work that people are doing from all over the world is amazing because it's happening really fast. Skills are being added every day. That's free. The computer is one thing because you don't want to run it on your own laptop. You want to run it on something like Bignoodle or a spare computer, like Dr. Mien said. the token cost for something like Anthropic is going to be high, but there are free LLMs you could use. So there's a token price there. But the one big tip for anybody out there who wants to install this and try it, it has a heartbeat. It costs about $20 a day just for Openclaw to say, I'm alive, I'm awake, I'm operating. And that's something in the code you could tune down. So instead of a heartbeat that's happening frequently and hitting the LLM, you can actually have that happen less frequently and be 20 cents instead of $20.
Gotcha. So basically, instead of working like every second of the 24-hour day,
yeah,
you can kind of pull that back and scale it back to like maybe every 10 minutes. It's like checking in on emails and stuff.
Yep. And there's a concept called a cron job, which just means you could put certain tasks on a timer. So do this thing in an hour instead of kind of keeping it in memory all day long. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then one last question that I have, I feel like this has been very, very informational and educational, and I appreciate you guys for doing this, but what's the point of the Mac Mini that people are buying? Is it to protect your computer so it doesn't go in rogue on your PC?
It's just an isolated place to run this.
Okay.
Because if you run it on your main computer, it can have access to everything you do on that main computer. So it's just about isolation, and a Mac Mini is way, way overkill. I don't know how Mac Mini itself got viral here, because it can run even on a Raspberry Pi. So, but yeah, it was part of the messaging, so it just happened that way.
Gotcha. How much do those run, the Mac Minis?
Well, we're having a RAM apocalypse these days, so the $700 or so you could get a Mac Mini for. I don't know if it's going to come with RAM. Even today, because RAM is like 4x the price, and if you get high performance RAM, it's like 12x. So nobody's really building PCs. Once those Mac Minis sell out, the ones with RAM in them, I think they're all going to come bare bones. So yeah, folks, if you want to get started with this, do not run Openclaw on your main computer. I'm
so glad you said that, because I was planning on doing that on Saturday.
No. Do not do that. Don't do that. It'll be a good day for the agents, but not a good day for you. Run it on a spare. You don't need to run out and buy a Mac Mini, but also beware, RAM prices are in crisis because of all the data centers being built. So there's a cost there too. Those costs are going to be higher than usual. And we're solving that actually at Bignoodle, so that you can run it on one of our containers without buying another PC or Mac.
Yeah. All right. So I know I said that was my last question, but I do have one more. From a year from now, right? What is like agent run protocols look like?
Do we have time to both answer?
Yeah.
Go for it, Dr. Mia.
I think if we're running, like, the future will be AI, it will be also robotics, I would say. So probably later on, there will be a trading bot, which is a real bot that showing up, doing housework for you and taking profit in prediction market for you. That's
and a friend. Could be a friend too. Some people are lonely out there.
Yeah. And trading while making your breakfast.
Exactly. Okay, super fan.
Yeah. My take there is that there's been kind of these epochs, right? These growth spurts, and we're having one right now in AI. It will make its way over to crypto immediately, and I don't think it matters whether we're in a bear market or a bull market, because I think all this stuff is bear proof, right? This innovation feels like best of times in crypto. The AI guys are having a best of times right now, and it's going to mean a lot to what's happening on the crypto landscape. So a year from now, I think we have agents that are actually meaningfully trading, actually meaningfully also doing other things like market making, maybe, for NFTs and ordinals to really have a cultural comeback. I think we'll see AI also taking part there. So it's going to be across the board, involved in what a protocol even means later. So yeah. I expect disruption. I expect it all to be super positive, and things are going to be fun again.
Yeah, I mean, every ecosystem I'm seeing in crypto Twitter is building something for this new narrative, right? And the thing that just makes me kind of hesitate a little bit is that whenever there's a strong narrative, that's always the case. It's a kind of like, AVAX was building out for this and then catches, but this is a little bit different. I feel like this extends out to outside of crypto and then back, right? So it's kind of like, okay, this is something that like can actually help the space in terms of a reputation as well as solid products. Do you agree with that?
Totally. I'm super bullish on consumer AI and consumer crypto doing a lot for crypto. What I mean by that is we've been recycling value in a lot of projects, right? The same wallets changing hands and that type of thing. But I think consumer crypto can really benefit from fresh fiat, fresh value entering our system, informing all these tokens, informing the way we think about tokens in the first place. And we haven't really had a huge consumer moment, and I think this is how it happens. And it's only because new agents will be trading, will be trustless, but something we can trust, if that makes sense, right? And that the value that comes from that won't be just changing hands. It won't just be recycled value.
Yeah. I mean, super exciting stuff. Appreciate you both jumping on here and educating the audience here and really, just breaking down what you guys are experts in, right? I want to give you guys a stage one last time before you guys head out. If there's anything we missed or you wanted to hit on.
Yeah, I guess, I really appreciate that that we're getting the time here. I've been on here with you in the past, and it feels like family. It feels good. So thanks for that. And we're not here to shill, but we do have a project, and we're looking down the barrel of a TGE pretty soon for the DPIN. So I think without turning this into that, I think we'll tease out info like whenever we come back to see you. But yeah, just putting that on people's awareness, like letting them know Bignoodle is something to follow. It's something to watch. We're getting close to that launch, so please follow either of us on Twitter.
Yeah, what's the best place to find you guys?
So my Twitter is kind of the project Twitter, and that's at Bignoodle BTC. That's the best way. Okay, awesome. And then Dr. Min, what's the best way to find you?
Dr. Min is just DR underscore and Min. So you can find me on Bignoodle BTC very easily. But I want to add that I was about to talk about X42 and together with ERC A04.
Okay.
I think we're running out of time, so probably next time. So I have a lot of knowledge to provide, and they are all very exciting knowledge, I would say. So AI, the whole area is very exciting. It's actually very much, I would say, bad-proof and immune to the whole crypto cycle. But I've heard also people are saying crypto is the AI agent native token, native payment token, the currency,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of room for us to develop and to explore here. And this is all very exciting to me. Yeah.
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And we can definitely roll that into possibly next week. This is going to be a series, guys. So, make sure you're tuning in Wednesday at 10:30 Central Time. And I appreciate you, Superfan and Dr. Min. And until next time, I will see you guys later.
Thanks. Bye, all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Appreciate that. The Bignoodle team, right? They are experts in AI, and we will continually get more information and continually be educated with, learn with them by their side and together as well. So should be exciting stuff for the upcoming weeks as well. There is something else I wanted to kind of show you guys that I thought was pretty funny. OG traders during the dotcom bubble were just like meme coin traders today. So this was actually a post by Meekly, I believe, is the X account here. And this is Thread Guy, but I want you guys to watch this because it's pretty funny. Let me share it here. As you can see, this is Meekly's X account, but let's watch this. I think it's funny because it's going to give you guys some hope to kind of where we are in that like crypto isn't just going to be meme coin trading forever, right? So let's check this out. It's funny. All right.
Scott holds his stock for, on average,
my audio.
They're going to own 23% of drugstore.com. They're going to own 23% of drugstore.com.
Friedman is a day trader, the purest form of stock trader in the world. He's also a millionaire at the age of 27.
This is literally the pump fund trenches. This is literally pump fund. There's like 20 of them in a room trading new pairs. They're dead ass trading new pairs.
Scott holds his stock for, on average, 4.5 minutes. Today,
dude, it's fucking trenches.
Scott Friedman has the advantage of the newest, fastest technology, but he's not alone.
Bro, this is dead ass Cupsy on Axiom, buying like 8% of the pre-bond. They're going to own 23% of drugstore.com.
Okay, so I wanted
Friedman
to show that because this video basically showed what the .com era was like whenever everybody was gambling on just domain names, right? There was no business model or anything like that. And it reminds me, and obviously Thread Guy, a ton of the meme coin trenches, right? And, you know, there's a lot of pushback that our space gets from stock market and, you know, TradFi, whoever, right? Just people in society that says that crypto is just a scam because it's all these meme coins. They went through this process as well, the .com bubble, right? They were using these fast tools to, you know, buy this pets.com really quick as it shot up and then get out of it, day trade it and all that stuff. So, you know, with everything that's happening with the infrastructure and all this legislation and institutions coming in, we're going to be moving towards this whole era of substance. And I think this, you know, AI agent kind of narrative could be one of the areas that kicks us off, right? For the .com, you know, sector, it was like search engines and these type of things, eventually e-commerce, all that stuff, right? So I know times look rough right now, especially we're in a bear market, but things will get better in my opinion. And, you know, just make sure that you're just learning as much as you can, just like from the segment we did today. But I think that is going to wrap up the show. I didn't have anything else outside of that. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys that support the show. Everybody on X, YouTube, Abstract, Zora, and TikTok as well, for hanging out with me for a little bit more than an hour today. Without you guys, I could not do the show, but also without my partners, I couldn't do it as they help support the show. You can see down there, if you're interested in that banner, you can go to pyro.buzz and bid on that space there. And then also merlinchain.io. If you head over there, you can see that they are offering staking for Bitcoin. You can stake your Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. There is an APR that is between 8 and 21% that they shoot for. It is a 3-month lockup period. And then you can stake the Merlin Chain token on a flexible day-to-day option. If you do want to withdraw, there's a 7-day cooldown period. So just know that. But you earn 15% APR on this one. You can claim your rewards every single day. And then the last option is the Merlin Chain bonded staking option, which is a 6-month lockup period. You earn 45% APR on that. This team has been crushing it. They got listed on Coinbase Perps and Kraken Spot and Perps. Also, if you wouldn't mind heading over to onchainrevolution.io, you can check out our website. Try to post a daily blog that gives you kind of the market pulse, kind of what we go into every start of the show, except for more in-depth here. You can click into it and read all the stats there. Also, if you're interested in VPN, you can sign up for a NordVPN under my link, and you will get a 75% discount. And also, you'll get a discount if you want a cold storage ledger, if you click on this link here. So that is all I got today, guys. I appreciate you guys, again, for supporting me always. And until tomorrow, peace.